on Juneteenth Eve. So hopefully you're wrapping your gifts. Oh, no, that's
wrong holiday.
That's
man.
Kwanzaa.
Yeah. We got candy though. We got candy.
Let me do a quick cleanup on aisle 3. I think, Debo, you had mentioned something about the president's doctor, and I think the name we was looking for, he said Ron Johnson, but it was Ronnie Jackson. Ronnie Jackson was his personal physician, and then Ronnie Jackson went on to run for Senate. U.S. House of Representatives. He lost, but it was Ronnie Jackson, the infamous Ronnie Jackson.
Yeah.
He's in the greatest shape ever. Looking at this dude going like, man, Ronnie Johnson.
That's what Trump called him, as he couldn't remember his own doctor's name.
Hey, so tomorrow we're doing live remote from Rise and Grind Cafe.
Yeah.
And
I have never eaten there.
They got great food.
I'm really excited to go. I have never eaten there. So I will be eating there. I hope they serve it.
They are.
Okay, because I will be eating. I've never eaten there.
Now, they won't be open to the public to come in. Let's clarify that. I mean, based on, but they will have like a window, an area whereas people you can come purchase from the public, but we're inside. We'll be able to order and eat and so forth.
So you treating?
Kieth has already stated that he's taking care of the whole staff.
All right now, my man, Boucher. You treating, bro? You look like you could afford to treat.
It's amazing that I'm sitting here, but my voice is over there. That talk about being a ventriloquist, the ability to be able to project my voice in my lips never moved. You wouldn't even know I was talking. It's written
all over your face.
Keith, I just want to say this to you, man. I got candy.
You don't have to say a word.
Where you going, Carvey?
Why you leaving, man?
So, Carvey, tomorrow with the parade, you give out all the candy you want tomorrow.
But you're dirty. You're going to ask, did he have on a trench coat? You're so dirty. Oh, my God.
Please don't have on one tomorrow.
Right. Over near Atkinson Park.
Right. That's
to the play area.
Well.
Doing the play area.
So don't.
And that's funny. But
are you feeding us? Are you feeding me? I don't care about this.
Moved on.
We have not moved on. Are you feeding me tomorrow?
He brought in a bag of candy.
He's jangling it.
Wow. Back in the day,
it doesn't have the same effect on us, man.
I love wrestling, right? I mean, I was such a big wrestling fan, and so there was a group of young men. I either knew their parents, worked with their parents, and so we're going down to this wrestling match. I think it was WWE. So we go down and, man, we have a great time. And then I think we did too. And so one of my buddy's sons, they were in California, and I just hit him. He said, I want to thank Keith. So Steve got on the phone and he goes, hey, Keith, man, let me thank you, man, for taking us to the wrestling matches and everything. I got to thinking. I said, don't do this, Steve. Please do not get up at my funeral saying Keith used to take us to wrestling matches, right?
Why? What's wrong with that?
Because it didn't sound like.
How does that sound inappropriate?
It just has that
overtone.
It has no overtone.
Certainly it does.
A guy took they nephews, they boys, they just random kids. Who are these people to you? Nobody?
Took my nephew.
So family.
He's safe. The nephew's safe.
But Carvey over there, wrestling match. How does that imply anything inappropriate?
You gotta.
It does.
It just sounded
weird. You gotta be a guide to
understand. You know what? Men are so ridiculous.
And let me tell you what's the crazy piece about this. When they went down there, we got in because I bought the tickets. They get in. Said when the show is over, you need to meet me right here. Mm-hmm. Y'all do whatever you want to do, but meet me right here. They was gone. I was the worst chaperone. Didn't know what those kids were doing. All I know is they were teenagers, 12,
they were
13.
Too young.
14. They weren't too young, but
to meet Carvey, they weren't too young. to get free
Wow.
candy. They weren't too
Get over here. That's what them parents gonna be saying about. Get over here. Don't you see Carvey over there? That's got to be that guy Carvey they were talking about.
You know, their family, some families got some uncles.
Hey,
can't
You
let those
understand
kids
the
around.
severity now,
I was
Carvey,
trying to
right?
figure this out one
So
day.
we can officially leave you alone. You understand? Because I don't want your mama calling up here either. Like if y'all don't get off my baby.
Yeah.
So,
Michelle,
but you
I was
understand the
somewhere-
severity.
And I
Okay.
could not figure out, but in my warped mind, this lady kept saying, "You know he ain't got no business in Ricky room. You Ricky room. I know damn well you ain't let that baby go in Ricky room."
Woo!
See, that's like,
We sure
get over here. That's Carvey over
We
there.
sure had Ricky in our family.
Everybody had one in their
Yeah,
family
one cousin,
where,
yeah.
you know.
And I was just like, well, why y'all let this dude in the house if everybody know? And I remember my auntie, she was like, well, he got to have somewhere to stay. He stayed with us. I
not
was
around
like,
kids.
well, nobody, no kids lived in their house.
Oh,
But we would go over for dinner,
Okay.
Easter, something. And you like, everybody
And
looked
then
at
what
don't go
Ricky
in the
was-
back. Don't go- You had to go to the bathroom. Go to the one up front. Don't go in the back.
as a matter of fact,
That
Michelle,
might
go
be
in there
Ricky
with that
calling.
girl. Make sure.
Hey, man, somebody on the line that could be Ricky calling. You want to take the call or what you want
Yeah, I'm
to
gonna
do?
take the call and tell another quick story. Back in the day, there was this dude. He allegedly had this youth basketball team, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Oh,
he
boy.
always
This is
had
not off to a good
4 or 5
start.
boys in the car with him.
Uh-huh.
But here's the thing about nobody ever saw these kids play. But he had a basketball team, and he's riding these kids around. Well, come to find out,
No.
yeah, he was up to no good. And my mother, and I used to say this, I said, don't be so trusting to who you send your kids around.
Mhm.
You know,
Particularly your boys.
right? Because
Because people never thought about somebody taking advantage of their boys.
I was coaching at Cass Street, and I had a little team, and so they,
Oh, you had a team.
yeah, I had a team.
Not,
always
not the
had-
best
you was-
setup.
they
after
always
that.
had- I had a
You
team.
was taking them around.
And they never played
An
anybody.
alleged team.
But
And they never played it.
but I'm from the old school. You know, old school was we walked to practice, we caught the bus, walked to the game. Parents wasn't dropping us off.
Jesus, what is this? 1942?
No, that's real talk.
Who-
And
What?
so this lady, he didn't live in their district. He must have lived there and they moved out, but he wanted to stay there.
Mhm.
And so she said, "Can you give my son a ride home after practice? I think it'd be good. You could be a mentor to him." And I'm looking at her going like, "No, don't be so trusting."
Back then?
Yeah.
I don't even think a lot of people thought of that back
Oh,
then.
man.
And like I said, particularly with their sons. Now with
Especially-
their daughters,
Especially if he
people
was an
always
organ
been
player.
protective. Like of they say what?
If he was an organ player, you definitely didn't. If he was directing the choir or something like that, oh, no.
Really? We gonna do
no,
that?
That's
We
real.
gonna do that?
Yeah,
That is
that's for
very
real.
real. That is very
Y'all
real.
need to be ashamed.
I'm serious.
I'm just telling you. And so you can't send your kids around and trust people, and
That's sad.
because there's folks out there, man. Pedophilia is real.
And watch out for the Boy Scout leaders, them Cub Scouts and stuff. Ooh,
The Boy Scouts are bankrupt.
yeah,
now
Because
probably for that
of-
very
because
reason.
of all
Yeah,
of those
because of
lawsuits.
lawsuits.
The
Mhm.
Boy
But I mean, but
Scouts,
look at the
Catholic
story I
Church-
just did on the police.
Mhm. Yeah.
Come on, man. Like,
All right,
okay, y'all done creep me out
You
for
want to
the
go to the
day.
phones? I gotta,
Yeah, I
gotta
mean-
lighten up. Some.
And welcome to Coach Keith's.
Go ahead, caller, you on the air.
Hey, what's up, man? That is so real. Hey, I got a quick one. My daughter was going to school. She was getting her clothes ready for school. I was buying her some clothes. And for some reason, I took the Cadillac. So we got into an argument, and she jumped out the car and got to running. And I'm trying to follow her and get her back in the car.
Oh, no.
And then these young kids said, "With your thirsty ass."
Oh,
Wow.
knew that wasn't going to be no good look. No.
As
gotta
Kennedy said, you need to call 991.
991.
He said you need to call 991.
The Cadillac following the baby. That was not a good, that
991.
wasn't a good look, bro. That wasn't a
That's
good
the
look.
special line right there. She
Wow.
was so funny. She was talking about somebody. I guess she's trying to say 911. She said she called 991.
But can you see
Wow.
the big Cadillac rolling behind the
Yeah.
baby?
Oh, that's
nah,
not-
that's not good.
not
I
a
know.
good look.
And a girl too.
Yeah, nah.
And he in the lack.
Well, how about
I got some candy?
But the principal who just caught the case, and I realized that was her daughter. She took up the school with her and punished her in front of her.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think we just have to be careful, and it's great you have people out there who work with you, and the vast majority of people are good people,
Right?
but people understand that you have people who will take advantage of the situation, especially the boys, right? Because you need a male figure, and this is something we've been talking a lot about this. I never had a desire, because maybe I wasn't exposed to it, where I needed a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
I just never, that wasn't. And so there were people out there, oh man, he's like a dad to me. Okay. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. And there's so much more you can learn from a dude as a young male than you're gonna ever learn from a woman. I fully believe that. Yeah.
But it wasn't like.
But I don't necessarily. You don't need to be my dad.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that you've been dad-like. You've looked out for me. You've given me great advice.
He's a dad-like.
Yeah, dad adjacent. You
dad adjacent.
Yeah, you've given good advice, and I applaud and respect that. But I think it also just speaks volumes to the fact that we even have to warn a young brother about, look, you got to be aware of the optics of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Because like he said, I'm in the Cadillac following my child and mess around and get pulled over. And I always talk about when I worked at St. Amelia Lakeside up here on 89th and Capitol. And I had a little young brother who just had a whole bunch of challenges. And he was stripped down naked and run around the unit. And a little young dude, like 11 years old, but he was real small for his age. And one day he ran out the door and was on Capitol Drive. And I had to run behind him. And I got him. I caught up to him.
You caught it?
Caught up to him. And I'm dragging him, pulling him by his arm back up to the facility. And he's butt naked. And of course, the police rolled up on me.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew, it was St. Amelia. And I said, I'm at St. Amelia. So he followed me, till we got back to the facility. But I was like, seriously? I'm dragging a naked little boy down the street, and all of a sudden,
time to change occupation.
Here's
Talk about optics.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like. Man, of all the times I done been out here.
That's still not quite as bad as got some candy and it's fresh.
It's worse. It's worse,
Kyrie said, "I got fresh candy."
I can't get over the fresh part though.
Yeah.
Like how he thought
And the
that was
funny
gonna
thing
make it
is, I see kids, and I love kids, and so you want to say something, but then. Stranger danger. You don't know me.
Yeah,
why are you talking to me? And so you kind of get back. But no, I've seen, and you're right. There has been a lot of abuse.
Well, like my moment, Senator Taylor, at the time she was doing a state of justice system tour. So we were going into prisons all over the state. So we go to a women's prison. And there's this woman, she looks like she's about 83 to 85. Snow white hair, long braids. And I'm like, what did she do? She's incarcerated. I'm like, what did she do? And so we was talking to somebody and they said, oh, she hasn't been here that long. I was like, how you come to jail at this age? And they said she was the babysitter and she was sexually assaulting little boys.
Wow.
And that's something that we don't talk about as much when women are sexually assaulting boys.
Yeah, that's what she
because
was doing.
We figure as boys, oh man, I'm getting sex. And they look at it very differently.
And I mean, but like these kids not even old enough to appreciate any of that, like 6 and 7 years old.
Oh, that's different. That's pedophilia.
Being assaulted. But this woman was old as heck. And I was like, why is this lady like how long?
I think
you've been in jail.
The
Like,
abuse,
excuse me, Carvey's got his hand up.
I was going to say to your point, because I've been there before. Like, it's the manipulation part.
Right. The grooming.
A lot of times.
How come you don't ever come to the mic, especially if you're going to talk that long?
He said, talk that long.
You sound like you got a story to tell.
A lot of times, older people can be manipulative to the younger crowd, to get them to do whatever they don't want to do or something that is unusual. You feel me? So I just feel like.
So now that we've got you on the mic, do you care to speak to this fresh candy that you had in your pocket?
So
yesterday?
let's go over this. I was outside cleaning the yard. Two young boys was asking me did I want some water. They selling water. I said, nah, I don't want no water. I got some fresh candy for you guys right here in my pocket. Here you go.
Kyrie,
And they
it's,
went
it's
about
no
their
different
day.
than the way I told it.
How did they react?
It doesn't sound any
said,
better,
oh,
Carver.
they said, oh, thank you. They took it and went about their day.
You wanted to be certain that we understood that they went about their way. Right? You know, I was standing there, Kyrie. I did see.
What if they want
Take
more?
the caller.
Now, if they want more candy, Carvey, they can go to.
It's jangling, baby.
Is there a
Go
nu-
ahead,
is
baby.
there a number?
It's jangling,
Caller,
baby.
welcome to the program. Good morning.
Yeah, I was gonna back you up there too, man. I was gonna invite you to the CNT, to help you out with that little problem. I didn't know that he was handing out that candy to underage people like that. But man, now that you done told the story, I was thinking about you in a trench coat, hunted over, looking out the dark, grinning that grin, flicking little candy and little steps towards you. Yeah, and they followed. See, the way he told the story and the way you told the story, I love black people all over the world.
So the way Carvey told it, you get the innocence of it all, right?
Right.
Little young brother selling water. Nah, man, I don't need no water. But you know what? I
It wasn't the jingle to the candy.
But okay then, Carvey. Carvey, where did the fresh part come from? What made you say, and it's fresh?
Because when me and you made eye contact,
Well, he said,
Carvey
me
said
and
when
him,
he made
eye contact, because I'm looking at him like, no, Carvey, no.
You looking at the star witness for the state.
Carvey was
When
like,
you made eye contact with the star
Carvey
witness
said
for the
something
case.
must be wrong. I get the
did I
sense
just do
that
something wrong? Yeah.
Mr. Debo, can you point out the person who allegedly offered the candy? It was
There
Is it to do with the brain sitting right there?
then they got the video. Like it's always video.
Yeah,
Oh,
always
real
video.
quick, does anybody care that Boston won the NBA championship
No
18.
last night?
surprise. No surprise.
18.
The most winning.
But
The
they haven't
winning
won
the
since
champ-
what, 2008 or something like that?
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's
but
been a minute. Who
they're
cares?
getting ready to tear up Boston. So
Well, what do you say for Drew Holiday? I mean, looks like wherever he lands,
Don't even bring that up.
wherever he lands, they
should
they
have
get a
never
ship.
got rid of him.
Never got.
Should have never traded that brother.
So Lillard is not a good pickup for us. Hasn't proved to be thus far. I mean, what's your take on it?
he better have a monster season next year, and they better go deep in the playoffs.
I mean, but I'm just even thinking like so much of it seems so transactional. Like there's no cohesiveness. Before you would build camaraderie, relationships. People were able to feed off one another. Now it's just like you just assembling a group of individuals,
Free agency.
and everybody just do their thing. It just doesn't feel sometimes like a team anymore.
It's free agency. Free agency has a whole lot to do with. In the past, when you were talking about this, it's ironic that who did we just lose? We just lost Jerry West.
Yeah.
Logo. And when he was playing, there was no players union, so you were locked into your team.
Right.
You had no control over where you went. There was exceptions. I didn't realize this. Someone told me when Kareem came to Milwaukee, because the ABA would have offered him a whole lot of money. They said that he would play for 5 years, and then he can go anywhere he wanted to go. So he either wanted to go back to New York or he wanted to go back to LA. And so it wasn't like Kareem. That was from the beginning. He was only going to be here 5 years, when they signed that contract. So, but now with free agents, you pretty much can go.
But I don't even know how much of it really is always about the free agency aspect of it, as opposed to what teams themselves are doing. Shuffling, trying to come up with that magic formula to be able to pull out a championship. And even in football, you see the same thing to some extent. I forever will lean on Andre Rison being brought in to help win a Super Bowl and then cast aside as soon as you.
Well, that's football.
You get it.
That's because left eye was over there burning up stuff and
He
doing
had to get
crazy
home,
stuff.
burning up the
They
house.
was. Yeah, we gonna bring her up.
Well, I'm just saying, she was a part of his downfall.
There was no downfall.
Sure, he was done here.
Was he here when she burned up the house?
I believe he was. There was some issues going on when.
Didn't he get a ring?
Yeah,
He was on the.
Yeah, he was on the Favre, with the one with Favre. Yeah.
Yeah, he got a ring because they didn't let him go to the White House. Because they had got rid of him before they went to the White House for the official team visit.
They was scared Left Eye was gonna show up.
Really? That's how y'all gonna handle her memory?
I was just trying to set the hot tub on fire. I didn't know the whole house was burned down.
Oh, y'all dirty.
Yeah, we got one
Bye.
eye.
I like it.
You're listening to Community Voice. Someone just texted me the Bucks helped the Celtics win the championship.
Ooh.
Yeah, they played their role.
Well, not directly.
Ooh.
Not directly. Because remember, he went to Portland. And it was Portland who then sent him out to Boston, allowed him to go to Boston.
But why was he able to go to Port? I mean, how did you get put in that position? No, we indirectly were. I agree.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is State Representative Lakeisha Myers letting you know there's a special election on July 2nd for the 4th Senate District. Having served for the past 6 years, I'm prepared to take office on day one to continue fighting for our community. Whether advocating for quality health care, better educational outcomes for children, or holding reckless drivers accountable, I'm ready to go to work. So Milwaukee, Shorewood, Glendale, Brown Deer, and Wauwatosa, I'm asking for your vote on Tuesday, July 2nd. Let's go to work.
Paid for by friends of Lakeisha Myers, Gertha Myers Treasurer.
Check, 1, 2.
These sounds can only mean one thing. It's Summerfest. 600 artists, 12 stages, one epic lakefront. Don't miss 3 unforgettable weekends of music, June 20th through July 6th. Summerfest, presented by American Family Insurance. Find tickets, lineup, and more at summerfest.com.
Equity. It's the most vital gift we can offer one another. Equity means everyone is provided with the resources and tools they need to succeed. The Milwaukee County Office of Equity works to fulfill the county's vision that by achieving racial equity, Milwaukee will be the healthiest county in Wisconsin. The Milwaukee County Office of Equity, making the county's health and racial equity vision a reality. Find them by searching Milwaukee County Office of Equity.
Looking to elevate your next event? Look no further than Champion Bartenders, your one-stop shop for premier bartending services and delicious cocktails. We're dedicated to providing your event with the ultimate bartender experience. Our trained and insured staff cater to weddings, corporate events, parties, fundraisers, and more, serving southeastern Wisconsin and now the Madison area. We bring extraordinary professionalism to any venue, from community rooms to backyards. Champion Bartenders also adds bartender training and certification. Be sure to book today and make your event unforgettable with Champion Bartenders. For more information, please call 414-530-6313. That's 414-530-6313 and visit championbartenders.net.
Hi, I'm a volunteer for Donald Trump.
Yeah, what do you want?
Your vote. Come on, Trump's our guy. He says he's the best guy ever for Black America. Better than Barack Obama.
Better than Obama? Trump's the guy who told America Obama was born in Africa. Never respected him enough to even accept him as president. All his white supremacist friends loved that one.
Man, that is old news.
Old news? Here's what's not old news. Trump is telling us right now he wants to be a dictator. Says he'll rip up the Constitution. Says there'll be a bloodbath if he loses again like last time.
Yeah, I wish you hadn't heard that.
Trump calls all those white folks who attacked the Capitol on January 6th heroes and patriots. He wants to pardon them. What do you think he'd be saying if it had been black folks who attacked the Capitol?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. He'd call them criminals and thugs, say they should be in jail, and throw away the key.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man. I'm sticking with Biden.
Me too.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
WNOV 1260 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. It was interesting. So let me say good morning to Julia Means. Good morning to Brenda Buchanan, who's on the phone with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great for the most part.
Okay.
A little stuffy.
Okay. I was Debo Sunday. I went to the Father's Day piece, and Homer was the DJ. Andre Lee Ellis was the MC, and so Homer was rocking. So he rocked Return to the Back. So then Andre, in the middle of the song, get up and start talking. Homer go, wait a minute, man. You don't start talking to the end of the song, man. And this is a jam too. That was too funny, man. He was just like, so good morning. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
Like hello, like before.
Mm.
I know. Come on, yeah. We need to pick it up. I guess the energy level. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can't really. If I sing, I'm not quite sure how it's going to sound through the phone. So.
You should pick it up.
Did Steve said somebody asked you to sing?
Pick it up.
Let's get this party started.
Right. Well, I know we had to go through your people in order for you to do what you have to do in terms of singing. So we will. We'll bring it back. So welcome back to the city. Welcome back to. Wow, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
So Juneteenth tomorrow.
Juneteenth tomorrow. We will all be on our station.
Okay.
Doing clinical breast exams. Okay. They will receive a gift card. They get a clinical breast exam. That'll be in the lower level at Ebenezer. Ascension will be there doing blood pressures and giving out goodies. Suntan, talking about skincare, doing the heat in the sun. And everybody will be giving out water. We got water for people.
A lot of water.
A lot of water because it's going to be hot.
It's supposed to be 90 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be hot. And we want people to be safe. What else, Brenda?
I think we might be doing bubbles if we have bubbles left for the kids. And Play-Doh, I think, for the kids.
Bubbles? Oh, I hate Play-Doh.
Why?
Because Kennedy was playing with Play-Doh.
Oh.
And Kennedy doesn't understand the concept of clay dries out.
Mm-hmm.
And so just clay everywhere. everywhere.
And the carpet?
No, we took the carpet up.
Okay.
Yeah, the carpet came up when we moved in. We did still have carpet on the stairs, took that. But yeah, so that whole Play-Doh thing is just.
Yeah, it can be messy.
It can be very messy. And then, like I say, it gets hard. And then she doesn't separate it. So now it just looks like a kaleidoscope because she didn't put it all together. I used to hate the way that clay smelled back in the day. Two things I hated.
Oh, I don't know what does it smell different now? Because it did stink back then. I don't know what it smells like now.
Man, it was just like between the clay and what was the other one that had a real smell? But I don't like
the silly putty.
Silly putty didn't have much of but that was like clay too, wasn't it?
It kind of was. It just, you could imprint stuff on it, like in the newspapers.
Right.
I look back on that stuff, and I really don't know what the purpose of it was, but it entertained us.
Yeah, and then I had this thing about it, like my hands getting messy. So when you kind of go in, it's like when you make meatloaf. And the way you're supposed to shape it, and you put your especially the egg, it's just,
very slimy.
Very slimy. So people will be able to go to Ebenezer tomorrow. Oh, so the lot might be open. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you don't have to be pre-registered for the clinical breast exams.
Okay.
You just can come.
And that's done through Ascension?
Actually, Nurses Affecting Change will be doing the clinical breast exam. Bonnie Anderson and her group.
Okay. Now, where will Ascension have a station?
They are. They're going to be closer to Burleigh.
Okay. Up by us. We call it now the County Village.
The County Village.
But they did make a couple of things I thought was very interesting. I think the Office on Aging will be down near the senior zone, which makes perfect sense, right? Because they will have a senior zone this year. And so then, you can see the services that the Office on Aging offers.
They got a lot to offer.
Yeah, he said yesterday is 460 vendors.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot. Do you know how many there were last year to compare it with?
It was probably, I think it could have been about 400 last year too.
Okay. I know they said it was increased this year, but I didn't know how much.
Right. And, we're coming off of COVID. And so slowly it's been building back up in terms of the number of people there. But I think the opportunity for information said that's something when growing up here, we went to Juneteenth, you didn't necessarily, you might saw some organizations, but basically it was the vendors. People selling what, and but now there's so many, I said yesterday, so many community serving agencies out there, the work that you all do at Ascension. So I think aligning people up with that demographic is important. I think they're going to have groups that work with teens near the teen zone. So it was a very, very interesting way of laying it out.
Yeah, they worked really hard at this.
It takes a lot. I mean, and I say this, just the amount of work that when you guys do your concerts in the park, the amount of work that goes into that. Well, put that 10, 15 times, and when you look at it all,
probably more than that, probably.
Yeah. And so, but I think it's good that you all will be there, and certainly that breast cancer screening piece.
Yes, we want to really ramp up in our community where African American women get mammograms and get on top of this breast cancer, so they catch it in the early stages and not in the later stages. And we're finding out that there are a lot of young women that are showing up positive for breast cancer.
I told you about the 26-year-old young lady I know right now.
So we want to be able to tell people where to go if they think they're having problems, and just how to check themselves.
Well, Brenda, will you have your blood pressure kit with you?
There will be some blood pressures there. That's for sure.
Yeah. We're going to
yes.
always do that.
Right. And I want to add to the clinical breast exams because, like Julia said, we're seeing younger and younger people. And usually, I mean, well, unless you're symptomatic or you're over the age of 40, you don't really qualify for a mammogram.
Right.
And so this is a clinical breast exam. And I can say from experience, I get one from them every year. This is not the typical simple breast exam you get in your doctor's office. This is a very thorough, wonderful exam that really provides education, as well as really looks for any kind of abnormalities that you should follow up on. And it's for women of any age.
Mm-hmm.
So, so a lot of younger women we're finding probably had some symptoms earlier, but, when you're young, you don't think of it. You don't think that's anything like breast cancer, and so this kind of exam is great for people who don't qualify for a mammogram.
And just can we get back tomorrow, because people are listening, certainly want people to come to Juneteenth. How important, you said you're going to have sunblock?
Yes. African American, we do burn.
Oh, yeah,
we can get skin cancer. A lot of times we think because of our melanoma that we can't get it, but we can. And so we just want to stress that. And we're giving out samples.
Yeah. And because of that, because we don't think that we don't protect our skin. And so usually by the time we're diagnosed with skin cancer, it's a little bit more advanced and we don't have as good outcomes. And so we really need to protect our skin. And last year we handed out sunscreen. I can't tell you how many people, I don't need that. No, I don't need that. I'm like, yeah, you do. And, try to explain, just because your skin is brown does not mean that the damage from the sun doesn't affect you. It affects you the same as it does anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think
even if you don't feel a burn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and those of us who are a little bit fairer know we might be a little bit quicker, but it's still. I found out about sunburn and whew,
don't feel good.
It don't feel good at all. I mean, it was just like, and then my mother, who never went to medical school or nursing school, said, "Hey, put Vaseline on it." No, Mom, you don't put Vaseline on a sunburn. Ouch.
Mm.
Yes.
Well, they put Vaseline.
That just heats it up and makes it worse.
We used to do butter.
Mm-hmm.
And then
butter and that, but they heat it up. They make it worse.
Made it worse,
right? Another burn. And then my aunt, one time I spilled some water. I think it's still called scalding. And scalded myself right here.
Yeah.
And she took some baking soda and sprinkled the baking soda over it. And then once it bubbled up, she took a hot needle and she just took the dead skin off.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That bubbling up and all that the skin does, that's a form of protection.
Right.
And you don't want to disrupt that. So
because when you do that, you're at much greater risk for infection.
Mm-hmm.
And sunburns, if they're significant, they sometimes require a hospital visit. You might end up in the ER. You might end up in the hospital, because once that layer is gone, you're losing fluids. You become dehydrated. You're at risk for infection. And like you said, it can be really, really painful. So sunburns can be very serious.
And people who ski will tell you that they even sunburn in the wintertime when they're skiing, because it's, especially when it's just like sun and they're exposed to the sun, that even then they can get burned. It's kind of the amazing thing when you look at how you need to take care of your skin. And I think the other thing that maybe we should talk to people about, excuse me, is heat exposure and heat exhaustion, sunstroke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's real. And, you see people laying out. It's what do you do? A lot of times you're afraid to go upon a stranger that's laying out.
The guy that was laying next door here this morning, was he out there when you came?
Yeah, he was.
He's still out there?
Yeah, he's still out there. He breathing though.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Uh-huh. I watched him.
She's a professional.
I'm like,
because I was doing the same thing. I was like, Is he breathing?
Yeah,
Right.
you could see his chest rise and fall.
And he had
Okay,
some
I didn't
detergent, and I didn't know if he had taken the detergent.
Yeah,
He come from across the street. I watched him.
Did
And he came right here. He was turning something up, and I'm like, no, I hope he's not. But so I still don't know what he consumed, but
yeah.
he went over there and laid down.
So
Yeah, okay.
Some, you
As
know,
long as he's still breathing
might
over
have
there.
been up
we
all
okay.
night. That's why he laying down.
Hey, man, it sometimes you just gotta. So talk about that in terms of, we talked about sunburn, but let's talk about just exposure to the heat. And tomorrow, I think, because it's not only going to be hot, it's going to be humid.
It's going to be
talk
humid.
about how that impacts you when it's hot and humid.
Well, your skin.
Well, you know.
Oh, go ahead, Brenda.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say your skin, your body does have a regulation, a regulatory system, and sweat is part of it. And so sweat is the body's fan. Some people, the biggest problem with that is some people are on medication, different medications that will stop them from sweating. And they seriously have to watch out as far as their temperature. And so we say hydrate yourself so that you can, you can sweat, you have the fluid, you don't be too dry, so you can't sweat. So that's why we want you to stay hydrated. But with the humidity, it's no air, no air is moving.
Does is that moisture basically blocks the sweating? Yes.
I don't know about that.
No, it's just that when we're humidity, it just makes you sweat even more.
Okay.
You just are, you're going to overheat. And like with heat exhaustion and heat stroke, a lot of the symptoms are pretty similar: headache, nausea, vomiting. You might get muscle cramps because you've lost a lot of your electrolytes. But the biggest difference between heat stroke and heat exhaustion is when you get to heat stroke, you've got a high temperature and your body is no longer sweating. In your body, your heart rate is, fast. You can lose consciousness. And when a person gets to heat stroke, that's a 911 call. You want to get them in the shade, try to keep them cool, but you need to call 911 because just giving them something to drink is not going to help at that point. If anything, they might just throw it up. They might not. It's not going to help. It's past that. But with heat exhaustion, usually if you can move them to a cool place, put damp cloths on them, have them sip water, eventually they might be able to recover from that. But definitely, if you're to the point where you're feeling confused, you're not sweating anymore, you need to get to the hospital immediately because you're in a life-threatening place at that point.
You met Kennedy last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was talking about something, and she said, "Yeah, they called 911."
Oh, she almost there.
That's a special number.
And how old is she?
She keep trying. She'd get it.
Yeah,
991.
Yeah,
she was
children they're smart.
And it's funny how you hear something as a kid. It's locked.
Mm-hmm.
It is locked. I mean, it is. This is how you do it. This is how you pronounce it. Is locked. But that becomes. I'm hoping. Now here's the interesting piece, though. Well, people will be buying water, but you all are giving away water.
Yeah, we have water to give out.
I just think the whole hydration piece is really underestimated. And, they're going to have some people there who I would strongly advise for you doing it, who are going to be out having adult beverages.
Yeah, which dehydrates you.
And
makes coffee does too.
Ooh.
Right. It may feel good going down, but now everybody drinks those iced coffees. But that alcohol, in your sodas that have caffeine in it, all of that just dehydrates you. You really want to avoid things like that on a hot day.
Mm-hmm.
It may taste good, but it's really going to make things worse for you.
What about people are going to be eating?
Mm-hmm.
Could the heat impact that in terms of how you might have a reaction to just eating, or the eating part's okay?
Don't get full where you can't move. That's not good.
Right.
You want to eat light.
You know, something I found really fascinating, and this is when we first moved where we moved, that was a Cop's ice cream stand right there on 60th. And then it became Oscars, and then he sold it to this other group, JJ's. But they said that when it's hot, people don't go and buy ice cream. Like when it's really, really, really hot, they don't go. Which I found that really amazing.
Well, when you do, you go outside, it melts so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could see that because I would rather, it's very creamy. If I'm really hot, I'd rather have like an icy drink or a popsicle or something like that as opposed to ice cream itself.
Yeah.
But now if you ask a kid, they'll take ice cream on any day. If it's hot out, they're all for it.
I'd never heard of this, and I just recently discovered this thing called scratch ice cream, which is basically homemade ice cream. They do it. They're not getting it probably from a dairy, and my God,
it's good.
Oh, I had the vanilla bean. It was so good. And I'm not an ice cream guy, and this is ice cream, and it's as rich as custard.
And where do you get it from?
Boy, they're getting a lot of free advertising. Archie Flat Top. Supposed to have the best smash burgers in the city.
Okay.
But man, I'm not an ice cream guy for the very reason that you cited. It used to melt.
It melts so fast in the summer.
It'd be just like
dripping everywhere. You gotta get in a cup.
And then you wanted 2 scoops.
Yeah.
You got to have 2 scoops, and like I said, if it didn't fall off.
Yes.
If it didn't fall off. So.
Right.
So tomorrow just
and I just wanted to mention that tomorrow too, the time that you're outdoors is going to be peak time. So that's when the sun is going to be the hottest, you know. So especially if you're older, if you're overweight, or the little kids, you really, really have to be careful. Maybe limit your time outside. I know it's a festival and everybody wants to be a part of it, and it's the celebration, but if you get thirsty, then you're already behind you're already dehydrated. You shouldn't just drink when you're thirsty. If you're thirsty, you need to drink something right away because your body's already dehydrated.
And the hydration
and in that heat will go
starts
quick.
earlier, not necessarily. I know we would talk about athletes traveling from, like, let's say you're going from Wisconsin and you're going to go and play in South Florida. South Florida is hot, humid. You've been used to being in Wisconsin, because I heard one of the things that it's happening to us, though I thought it's been pretty warm. They said that because it just hit 90 so quickly, we haven't adjusted yet to very, very hot temperatures. And so people are going to have a reaction to it because, that first time it's hot and you go like, wow, because you're just not. Is it something with your body? Does it say like your body, the blood thins?
Well, it doesn't thin. When you get hot, what happens, you know how when you're hot outside, and if you look at your hands, you can see your blood vessels and all of that. You know how they look more pronounced on your hand and that.
It means I'm hot.
And your skin is a little redder. Yeah, when you get hot, your blood vessels kind of rise to the top so they can cool off.
No, Kieth blood vessels are very pronounced. I could put an IV in him blindfolded.
And Julia loves the hands, let me tell you. That is her favorite place to go.
But his arm, they look good. No, that doesn't look good. All that's good. All that's good. And if we put
I'm missing out on all of this. I can't see.
I could just feel it. Yeah. He's got great veins. Great veins. Wow. They don't have a hard time putting anything in you.
They might.
And the opposite is when it's really cold outside.
Yes.
Oh, I was just saying, when it's really cold outside, everything goes deep. That's why your fingers and toes are shrivelly and cold, because your body knows it can live without fingers and toes, but it wants to divert all that blood to the organs and that your body needs to keep you alive.
The body is amazing. God knew what he was doing. He really created us to survive. And so in stressful situations, your blood supply is going to go to major organs
What about covering your head in
Mm.
terms of exposure to the sun?
Well, especially, I mean, if you have thick, coarse hair, you've got some protection. But the hair, you can get skin cancer in your scalp. So especially people who have very thin hair or who don't, or who are bald, they really need to protect their head. They can do that with, especially if they're bald, they can do that with sunscreen too. Or if you have to wear a hat, a lot of people wear hats when it's really, especially the bigger brims, because then that gives them some protection of their face too. I, on the other hand, can't stand anything on my head when it's hot. But I know it is a good idea for people who have a tendency for their scalp to be exposed.
You want the babies to have a hat on.
Oh, for sure. And that's a good reminder. Tomorrow, don't leave those babies out too long, and those pets. Don't leave them in cars, even for 2 minutes while you run and do something. Just don't even think about it. Don't do it.
When I worked at our Avenue Playground, I could tell when it was hot, because when it was hot, those kids weren't out. They either go home or they get up next to the building. They could, because kids would be out there in the heat, but then when it's too hot for a kid, it's hot.
Yeah, the asphalt would be.
Man,
it would burn.
That's the year I got the sunburn. That just being out, that constant exposure to the sun, and I like to get browner. I really like to get browner, but this turned into something else, man. I was like a cube steak. I was frying out there, and I still had hair, so I was vain, so I wasn't putting a cap on. But yeah, I think so. Tomorrow, just be mindful. I'm assuming that they will have emergency medical personnel there to deal with situations of people, especially heat. And the other thing is, if it gets real congested with all that body heat, that increases the heat, right?
Sure, and all those grills going, machines going, all of that just adds to it.
We're inside Be Healthy, Be You, Miss Julia Means, Miss Brenda Buchanan. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Where do grown-ups go in
I did type in there. The second time I didn't. But yes, of course, I'm an early bird. So even though, I was up at 5:00 LA time, which is 7 here, I was wide awake. So yeah, I listened to you both weeks.
And Julia did an outstanding job, didn't she?
She did.
She did. I know.
She did a great job.
I know. And I was letting the other ones come in, let them know, don't get too comfortable.
They enjoyed
I know they
themselves.
did. It was great. And that whole conversation around car seats, who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought?
Right.
So as we kind of shift gears here a little bit, June
before you shift real quick, I just want to mention one thing before you shift. Is usually on the health department, if you go to their page, they usually have a thing on heat, as well as a click where you can look at all the cooling sites, places kids can go. You can take them where there's the little pools and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And some other good information.
I was watching a documentary on the heat wave of 1995. And they talked about the number of people who died in Chicago.
Yes, a lot of seniors.
A lot of seniors, like almost 700 people. Those are ones that they could say was directly related to the heat. But there are other people who had cardiac arrest, all these other things because of the heat. And so we need to be real mindful.
Check on your neighbor.
Check on your neighbors. And there's a lot of folks out there who do not have air conditioning.
Right.
And so, being in the house, I remember when we had the power outage with the windstorm in August, and it was hot, and there was going to be a homicide. That air conditioner came on just in time because there was going to be a homicide. It was definitely going to be because that heat. Oh man. Oh my God. In the house.
I can take cold, but heat.
Yeah.
And seniors, they don't like air conditioning.
My mama.
They don't want it.
Maybe it'll be like 80 degrees.
I know. You walk in their house.
I'm sweating.
No window open, no fan going, and they chilling with a sweater on.
Right.
I'm like, what?
My mom, this was like, it was wintertime and I'm sweating coming in her house. That's how hot it was in the house. So when I was out there yesterday, she has it on 76. So that ain't too bad. That ain't too bad at all. The air conditioning kick in. But man, I don't know how we live without air conditioning.
And we did.
I don't know how we did it. Because it
I don't know either.
And even, I was in Tennessee. It got hot. It got really hot. But my aunt, my late Aunt Willie and Uncle Cliff, my Uncle Cliff is actually, my mom is named after Uncle Cliff and Aunt Willie. That's where we get Cliffy from. It took us 40 years to figure that out. And but they had like this house, and it was basically just 3 rooms, and they had the living room, dining room, bedroom is all one room. They had the kitchen, and then they had a guest room. I don't care how hot it was outside, that guest room was cold. It was always cold. I used to hate when she said you go in there and sleep in the guest room. Too cold. I don't know how they were. Now the rest of the house, but that guest room is amazing. So yeah, we do need to check on our seniors to make sure that they're safe during this heat. Looks like we're going to get a bit of a respite during the weekend and early next week, but it sounds like it's going to just get hot again. And let me try to sound special here. I received an invitation to go to Washington, D.C. Vice President was having a gospel brunch at the Naval Observatory. I couldn't go because I committed a year ago to do a wedding. I committed a year ago to this, right? So, but you know what happened? They had to postpone it because it's going to be so hot in D.C.
See how God works.
You say that's you say that's the Lord. Look at God. Is that a look at God moment?
Look at God.
Look at God. It was.
Won't He do it?
I'm gonna give you something else though. Look at God. They're doing the dedication of the King Memorial. I am a student of Dr. King. All right. So I'm going to get out there for this. I mean, I'm going to get out here, and you've already seen the alphas are putting up the stuff they was doing. Well, prior to the week of the unveiling, they had an earthquake. That earthquake. I don't even remember, as long as I was out there, ever being an earthquake out on the East Coast. So they have an earthquake. Then they get the worst storm ever. It's going to come through. Like, this is going to be the worst storm. I'm praying to God, God, can you give me a sign that I should go or don't go? They had an earthquake. You're going to have a hurricane. That might be a message from God that maybe, you might not want to travel that day. And then, and look, I can blame this on Reverend Al Sharpton, because up until that Friday, he was like, we're going to be there. The Alphas got in Thursday and they were gone because they knew what the weather was. But there were folks like me, no, man, I'm going to go. It's going to be a hurricane. How you? So even though God speaks, we don't always hear.
Or listen.
That's right.
It just, which gets us to Men's Health Month and us getting on men
who are hard-headed.
And especially
so hard-headed.
Hey, Brenda, we need all that enthusiasm.
Extra.
Here she go. Ooh, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Believe me.
Okay. So it's Men's Health Month.
June
is Men's Health Month. When we talk about this issue around men's health, and especially when we look at descendants of enslaved African men, we have some morbidities there that we're probably not dealing with adequately, right?
Correct. First of all, they said men that are married live longer because they have a wife that's telling them, you need to go to the doctor.
We live longer, but did they say we're happier? All right, go. Oh, we living long.
You ain't dead.
Yeah.
They ain't happy either.
I know.
Let's talk about who the happiest men. Was that the same? She said you ain't dead. Some days you wish you were dead. It was just like, take me out my misery. I'm ready to see Jesus. Take me home.
Stop it.
They live longer. Of course they live longer. It would be like this dude said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to bury you. I'm going to dig you up and kill you again, right? So it's kind of so men do live longer.
They live much longer.
They live much longer when
they are married.
When they are married. Why is that?
Because the wife is usually the one that notices the symptoms and encourages them to go see a physician.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great structuring of the sentence. Encourage. Did you hear that word?
Right.
Encourage.
Sometimes it's grab the hand and pull them.
No, is that a 3-letter word? Nag.
Uh-huh. Well, we're tired of hearing you nag at home because something hurts.
Right. I'm okay.
Or walking around.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
moaning and groaning.
But they do, and studies show that men usually end up going to a doctor because of, like Julia said, a wife, maybe a sister, but a woman in their life. Because, us women, we go to the doctor all the time because we don't have a choice, during our childbearing age. That's an important thing that we have to do. So we're used to it. But once men get out of, high school, they tend not to go to the doctor until they're sick. And then when they get older, they don't want to even admit that they're sick. And so usually it's somebody else making them go. They don't want to be the ones to make the decision. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of things happen that could have been taken care of earlier had they first went in. A lot of times it's like, well, I'm getting old. Like with some of the prostate issues, I'm getting old or that. Well, you may be getting old, but along with age comes things that, you can mitigate if you catch it early.
Well, and they were saying when they did a lot of autopsies on the young men that died in Vietnam, they found a lot of chronic diseases that they were carrying. They had, and with like high cholesterol, and things that they probably would not have gotten taken care of because they were young. And so you need to have a primary care physician as an adult so that you can get these things. A lot of stuff we inherit, and you have no control over it. So you need to know that you have high cholesterol. There's some people cholesterol is crazy, and that definitely would cause them to have blockages, strokes, heart attacks, and things. But now we have cholesterol lowering medication that can that was a game changer when those meds became available. So just a simple pill. Some people can't take them or whatever, but the ones who can need to take their cholesterol lowering medication.
You said they can't take it. What would prevent them?
Some
from taking
people
it?
have such bad side effects from them.
Right. Especially with like your statins, like, there's a bunch of different ones and they end in statins. Some people are really sensitive to those and have side effects, but sometimes they can just switch your drug in that same, give you a different statin and you do fine. But if you can't take statins, they have alternative drugs that can still help, but the statins are really good at what they do if you can tolerate them.
We talked about diabetes, and so when you talked about that they had an increase in cholesterol, these men who were in a war zone, is that the body reacting and is producing more because of the stress? Obviously, it can't be any more stressful situation than
in Vietnam,
right?
Yeah, but no, they were saying that these young men were going to have high cholesterol. They were going to have cholesterol issues because they were so young, that they were shocked at how high their levels were. So young men, they feel invincible. I don't need a doctor. I'm fine. You know how they go, but you still don't know what's going on inside of you.
Right. We've talked before about stress and cortisol, which is a steroid that your body naturally produces. And when you're under stress, like constant stress like they are, their cortisol levels are probably very high. And high cortisol can, help with make it worse. Can contribute to high cholesterol. That cortisol can do so many nasty things to our body. So, and of course over there, who knows what they're eating too, between what they're eating, the high stress, the cortisol, just not a good combination of things.
Oh, I was just going to say, but it did cause physicians to want to look at younger men for cholesterol. So if you have a primary care physician, he's going to, a part of the battery of tests that they do on you will be your cholesterol level, would be one of them, regardless of your age.
I think they just called the fire department for this guy.
It's about time.
Yeah. Okay. We talk about this and it's diabetes, but also, it's also the high blood pressure.
That's another thing that they will check on a young man because some young men, blood pressures are high.
And a lot of that's probably more their diet, right?
Diet, hereditary factors, high cholesterol, and stress.
And I just want to say what Julia said, heredity. So many, people, not just with high blood pressure, but with other things will say, oh, it's no big deal. It runs in my family. Just because it runs in your family doesn't mean it's not a big deal and you shouldn't get it treated.
Well, the fact that it runs in your
know,
family would
it's not.
seem to elevate to me that it would be a big deal.
You would think so, but it doesn't. It's like, oh, it's no big deal because they're seeing their family members live with it who maybe haven't been treated, but they're probably not, they probably aren't going to live a longer life, but they see that and they've been brought up to believe, girl, it ain't no big deal. That just runs in our family. We all got that. And so they don't take it seriously.
And when you kind of look at sometimes I get worried for people. Is it morbid obesity?
Mm-hmm.
And you would see folks and you go like, wow, you're gonna have to make some lifestyle changes. But the amazing thing, you talked about this earlier about humans, is we learn how to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
So for men, I mean, for us former athletes, we were taught to bear the pain.
Mm-hmm.
That there was a difference between being hurt and being injured, right? They both hurt. They both had pain.
Damage is being done.
Right. And so you would be considered soft.
Mm-hmm.
If every time you looked up, you were going to the doctor, right? So I don't know how we change that mindset when it comes to men. Is it how we raise our men?
Well, we should raise our children to get used to going to a doctor. You start out when they're young, getting all their vaccinations and all of the preventive medication that's available. And then your young men will get used to going to the doctor.
Because I can think only one time I got sick, and my mom, I can see that's how many times I went to the doctor. I got sick, and then I ended up going to the doctor. I think I had the flu. And then the only time I went to the doctor after that was for my physicals for football, basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I did have to go to the doctor. I didn't realize what this was. So we got brand new knit uniforms, and very nice.
Messed you up.
We had won the state championship. We got these new uniforms. And so I'm 17. And all of a sudden I look on my chest and I have these bumps. It's like a rash. And it looks like it's the form of the uniform. So I go to a dermatologist and I come in, and him and his partner. And so I must have been looking very anxious because, man, where's this rash coming from? Am I going to die? And the guy kind of looked at his partner. He said, "Oh, that's nothing. That's just a PR." It seems to be pretty important to me. What do you mean it's a PR? Puberty rash.
Oh.
I didn't even know it. I think it had, so I would have been okay.
But you didn't know that. Were you itching?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
You needed some medication.
Yes. What is the medication they give you? Oh, because we lived on it at camp. For poison ivy, calamine. Is that calamine?
Calamine lotion.
Yeah, calamine lotion, man.
Calamine.
You should see us. Now, I don't know if this was true or not. The camp director told us, because we had out there basically about this time. We do that first week of training. Anybody ever saw Friday the 13th? That's the camp experience.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so he tells us, one, we can't wear any perfumes.
No.
Nothing with a scent.
The animals.
It
the
attracts
bugs.
animals and bugs. He also said
Insects, yeah.
we're going to get stung by mosquitoes.
Mm.
Now, I don't know how true this is. He said, though, once you get stung enough and you don't get, what is it?
An anaphylactic shock from it.
Right. And you're not, what was the disease that mosquitoes carry?
Malaria.
Malaria. You don't get that, you're okay. He said that after a while, your body supposedly builds up this, not an immunity, but it sets off a scent.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will buzz you, but they won't bite you.
Oh.
Now, I don't know how true that is because I think they told us to take vitamin B. One of them that you take that's really,
B?
Is it B? Comes through the pores.
Oh, I don't know. I was listening to what you were saying.
Yeah. So, but you smelled real badly.
Oh.
Because it came through the pores. I don't know how true it was. I know I got bit up. I know. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know that there's truth to that. It might be just that the mosquitoes can't find another surface to land on.
Right. And the first time I got up there, I lived in a lodge. My lodge was up on a hill. And you literally, and I was in the greatest shape of my life, we literally had to walk about a half a mile to eat all our meals because we're coming to the central location to eat. And so the first day I get to camp, kids not even there yet. I wasn't paying attention to what the camp director said. So I had hair. So I washed my hair with Head and Shoulders. Yeah, Head and Shoulders smell. Oh, I put on my cologne. Oh, I'm smelling good. I get to walking down that trail in every insect of Waukesha County. Oh man, deer flies, horse flies.
Oh, they hurt.
Horse flies.
They hurt when they bite.
Oh my God. They and we would have near the pool, like on a day like today, it's humid, and the water and the horse flies would just kind of hover right above the water.
Waiting for you.
Right. Yeah. So wearing those those scents. So again, when people now I can say I know this is true, that those scents coming from your body, like perfumes and things like that, does attract insects. Does attract insects. Right.
And different people give off different scents. There's certain, like, depending on your pH and stuff like that, certain they're that's why some people get bit. You can have two people sit next to each other. One person's getting bit up and the other one isn't. And it's more with your your pH and
there's
that kind of stuff.
Certain people, I don't sit near them at picnics.
Because they give off.
No, because they wear so much perfume. And they don't really, and they're trying to figure, especially when the what are they? Is it the wasp that in August will come out, and you see them flying around garbage because they're really attracted to sweet smells. Yeah. And someone told me that those are like drone worker who are no longer efficient, so they push them out of the hive of the nest. And that's why they're flying around. Now, again, I don't know how true that is.
You heard a lot about
urban legends. People are all out talking. I mean, I probably should go if you want to do anything and really study insects. I don't know what study that would be. But there are things. And I think this year we're probably going to have a lot of mosquitoes because it was so damp.
I've been seeing them already.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been seeing them sitting outside. It's going to be a lot. And, and they're like, if you've worked out or, they are attracted to the bacteria in your skin too. So if you've recently worked out or you've been sweating a lot, you're going to attract more mosquitoes.
Yeah. So again, as we're exposed to this, certainly you want to do the sunblock, but you might want to also do insect repellent.
Yeah. I just want to say a young man came up to me in church and he said, I jog. And I know I'm in good health. I run every day. And he's told me how many miles. I can't think of it. I said, yeah, joggers usually, they usually are the ones that die because they just feel like I can run. I run every morning, but you haven't been to the doctor.
The guy that invented jogging, Jim Fix, was a 20-year smoker. He quit smoking and he became this whole fitness thing, and he still died of a heart attack
because he didn't go to the doctor. You can run, right? And they are very persistent about their, I jog, so I'm in good health because I can jog. No, you go to the doctor, and you really should go to the doctor before you start jogging. To get that stamp of approval, yeah, you're good. You can jog. But no, I'm like, so you need to go to the doctor and find out why your chest is hurting. So
that can't be right.
That can't be right. That can't be right. So
it's one of those ironic things. when I was really, really walking, I was gaining weight. When we come back, I'll explain to you why I was gaining weight. You're listening to Community Voice from Inside Be Healthy Be You. Miss Julia Means, Miss Brenda Buchanan. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Community Brainstorming Conference will not be hosting their June monthly meeting. As communities around the nation prepare to observe and celebrate Juneteenth, they encourage you to enrich your appreciation of this monumental occasion in Black history. On June 17th, 2021, President Joe Biden signed a bill into law making Juneteenth a national holiday. Juneteenth celebrates the date of June 19th, 1865, when the last enslaved people of African descent located in Galveston, Texas, finally learned of their freedom from slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation had been signed 2 years earlier. As President Biden would say at the bill signing, great nations don't ignore their most painful moments. They don't ignore those moments of the past. They embrace them. Great nations don't walk away. We come to terms with the mistakes we made. And in remembering those moments, we heal and grow stronger. The Community Brainstorming Conference will return to their regular programming in July.
Juneteenth Day is Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. Join WNOV as we'll be in the parade, but most importantly, we'll be broadcasting live from Juneteenth Day in front of Rise and Grind Cafe on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive between Center and Christine Lane on the west side of the street. Please stop by to visit and maybe meet our staff and just maybe win some prizes. This live broadcast is sponsored by the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Center and WNOV, the voice of the community.
It's almost time for Summerfest, Milwaukee's biggest party on the lakefront with over 600 artists across 3 weekends, including Key Glock, Ken Carson, Lil Tecca, plus Juicy, Big X the Plug, Bryson Tiller, K-Cam, Mariah the Scientist, and more. Don't miss Milwaukee Summerfest presented by American Family Insurance on June 20 through 22, June 27 through 29, and July 4 through 6. Get tickets now at summerfest.com.
This is Ambassador Arthur Burks inviting you to the annual Reform Felons Ball. It all takes place at 100 Gems campus at 6737 North on Titonia Avenue. Tuesday, June the 18th. Doors open up at 6:30 p.m. with special guests Terrence Gangster Williams and Ken Ivey.
This is Terrence Gangster Williams. Shout out to Milwaukee. I will be out there June 18th for the Reform Felon Ball. Let's hang out. Shout out to all my ex-felons who came home and doing something positive.
You better call and get your free tickets while they last. Free food and admission. Donations are accepted at the door. Pick up your tickets at All Star Variety Shop, 4620 West on Burleigh, or call 414-509-4808. This is an AB and Winky Blue production.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and sitting here doing our Be Healthy, Be You. Brenda, you heard that Angela Bofield passed.
No, I didn't.
Yes, and I was telling Julia off air. I know my guy Kevin had called in that she performed at Bastille Days back in the day. And Kevin, I don't know if you still listen. I think, and then the next year was the Clark Sisters, or maybe the Clark Sisters was the year before them, out at Bastille Days. They used to bring in national acts.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Angela Bofield. And somebody was just saying that I know Will Downing had did the cover. This time I'll be sweet. No, what did he do? I don't know if it's this time he could be sweeter. That was Angie Bofield's big hit. She was Afro-Cuban. Men's Health Month. We've established a couple of points.
Yeah.
That men who are married live longer. We got a call. We're stuck. Oh, no, we have a call. I'm just in between here. They'll be okay? Okay. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. Where you get that T-shirt from?
What T-shirt?
The one you got on, Dominican High School alumni.
Oh, you looking at yesterday's program. I got that at Dominican.
You can go right in the office to get it?
I think you can actually go on, they have a website and they go through Burkhart's and you can order merchandise. So you just go to their bookstore and you can order it through the bookstore. But we were out there for the 50th anniversary of that first championship team and they were selling T-shirts. So I bought a couple of alum T-shirts, but you can go to the school's website and then go to their merchandise thing at the bookstore and you can order shirts.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hey, are you a Dominican alum?
My son is a Dominican alum.
Excellent. He received a quality education and he's among the best and brightest.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
I appreciate you. Because I heard someone that made a disparaging remark about my beloved alma mater. It felt disparaging.
That's not nice.
It felt disparaging a little bit in terms of. So, Men's Health Month, obviously you need to get a primary care physician. Mm-hmm. We should be doing yearly checkups, right? Mm-hmm. And when we get older, there's
right. Even if you feel terrific.
Right.
Don't you think though we don't always feel terrific, but we don't want to share that we don't feel terrific?
Right. Well, that's why I'm saying you do need to go every year, no matter what. And when you do go, you do have to tell the doctor the truth.
What? But your labs don't lie.
No, I can't say. Yeah, your labs don't lie.
Yeah, they'll draw labs. And that one that they will draw is your A1C to see whether you are diabetic or not, or pre-diabetic. You want to get it when you're pre-diabetic so you don't, or you can prolong or not become a diabetic.
A lot of our morbidity or some of our morbidity is lifestyle related. How important is it for us to adjust our lifestyles, especially when certain things have been brought to our attention in terms of our health?
Well, you
have so much control.
Yes, you talked
about.
Want me
to go?
Oh, I was just saying,
over your health.
And I was
see, this isn't working. We're not both in person.
I know. I wanted to mention when Keith brought up when you see someone who is morbidly obese, and you know that they definitely are going to need lifestyle changes, and there's so much stuff out there now to help people with it that but you need to encourage people. The way they look at food have to be different, and they really have to accept the help and want to change. You got to want to change.
But one of the things that we use to handle stress is food. Mm-hmm. Because of you all, I'm looking at food differently. In terms of things that I was talking about before we went to break, how even though I was walking 4 miles, 3 miles, I was still gaining weight. I couldn't figure that out. Why am I? But then I did figure it out, because a lot of times we think because we're exercising, we can eat whatever we want to eat. And that is not the case, especially when you get older. You know that. So
right.
I'm sorry, go on.
You won't.
What I'm saying, it's always the 80-20 rule. You know, we always think exercise is the key to losing weight. Exercise is really good for a lot of things, and it can help with losing weight. But 80% of our weight loss is related to the food we put in our mouth. And so you can exercise all you want, but if you're not willing to change the way you look at food, then you're never going to be successful.
I'm sorry. I am I'm special. And so from time to time the specialness will kick in. So sorry for having that special moment.
We know you're special, Keith.
See, Brenda, you said just like my mama. Oh, you special. Well, why don't I feel special after you called me special? When and can we define special? But no, I was telling what I would go to Collectivo. I would get a brownie because I was operating under the premise that chocolate gives you energy. Okay, so I do a brownie. But I just can't go to Collectivo and just get a brownie.
Can't get one.
I can't get one. And they had this crack cookie there called the cowboy cookie. It is the greatest cookie of all time.
Good cowboy cookie.
You like cowboy cookie?
It is.
It is the greatest cookie ever made.
It's my favorite cookie.
All time. Maybe oatmeal raisins up there, and I would eat that. And I was just eating. And I was walking. It wasn't like I was. And then you realize, wow, dude, because you see basketball players, they're out every day, but they're still gaining weight because of their eating. That's why now most teams have nutritionists assigned to them, because as Brenda said, it's what you're eating. How much are you eating? How much of what it is that you're eating that has impact more so than whether or not you're exercising.
Right.
They talked about Michael Jordan.
And food is hard. I mean, because we've learned how to eat over years. It's not like we just picked up bad eating habits. And a lot of the bad eating habits we didn't even know they were bad. So we've been eating a certain way for all of our life, and now our life depends on it. We have to change, and that's hard. That's very, very hard to do.
It's hearing people complain about hospital food. You know why you complain about it? Because it's healthy. And we're not so much used to eating healthy food. And so your taste buds is going like, oh, man. Yeah. I mean, if you're sitting there and part of your issue of your hospitalization has something to do with your blood pressure, trust me, there's not going to be any salt in that meal that's coming to you.
No sodium.
No sodium. I mean,
2 grams sodium. Now they've even made it lower than 2 grams.
Yeah, now it's 1,500, which isn't even a teaspoon.
I'm learning how to eat without salt, but it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I was doing a group yesterday with a group of men, and they're recovering addicts. So they get a lot of candy, they get a lot of snacks, right? That's and so they dropped all these, and they dropped Lay's potato chips. That advertising that Lay's did back in the day, you just can't eat one. That ain't a lie. I dare you to try to eat one Lay's potato chip. I don't know what they put in Lay's potato chips and maybe it's that suggestion of that commercial, but man, it's just hard to eat one. And I was just sitting up here thinking like, wow, dude, this is a little bit more sodium. Though I'm getting sodium in other things. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Gatorade. It's going to be a lot of sodium in that Gatorade tomorrow. But it's going to be
sugar
so
too.
Sugar? I hate the zero. Zero has no taste. I'm sorry, Brenda, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's not just going to have sodium. It's going to have potassium, probably some magnesium, all of those different electrolytes.
But I can taste the sodium. I mean, before I didn't, but now I do. And so, but I still probably using more salt. Every recipe calls for salt.
It does.
That you need to add some salt. And so I'm trying to figure out different ways to do flavor without salt. Though salt is good. Especially a good potato chip. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let's see, is that green button up?
Well, I do have a present for you as long as we're talking about dangers of salt, but I did buy you a bag of those low salt potato chips.
Why,
so they've
Brenda?
been sitting by the door for me to bring to you. I guess next week I'll be able to be there.
Okay. Why, Brenda?
But don't eat the whole bag. That's the thing.
You
There's
said
only
low
50
salt, though, right?
milligrams of salt per serving.
How does it
Yeah,
taste?
50 milligrams per serving. That's it. They're wonderful. That's all I eat.
Okay. All right. Well, you're the chip maven. So
I am. I know about chips.
right. I remember one time we had some chips here, and she looked like Tyrone Biggins. Lips got all white. She's scratching. Are those chips over there? Hit number 6.
Oh, this.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Hi there. Yes. This is Walker again. The Will Downing song was "I Try."
I try. Okay.
Yeah, I try.
Did the Clark sisters come either the year before Angie Bofield or the year after Angie Bofield?
I don't know, because what happened was that Bastille Days expanded north across the street from the Fisker Hotel.
Right.
They expanded all the way up north to Cathedral Square.
Right.
Because I remember after Angela Bofield performed, she went across the street to stay at Elsa's. Upstairs from Elsa's, they had VIP rooms for the performers, and she was staying there. That's when I noticed how tall she was. So tall, she was a foot above her bodyguards. That's how tall she was, And like a lot of tall women, she wore high heel shoes because they like to tower above their subjects.
And the stage used to be north, right? That the stage, the main stage was north. Okay.
Right, and then what happened was that Still Days expanded north until it took over part of the MSOE campus, and they put the stages there.
Right.
Then it went all the way east and west, But I was at Still Days from the early days and stuff. But another thing is that she was Angela Bofield was a dancer, as on Michelle Bryan's show. She was the principal dancer for the Dance Theater of Harlem. It got real big and whatever. She was tall and elegant and stuff. So she was a multi-talented person.
Okay.
And also, yeah, and also they you all were talking about being men's health month.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking. I was hearing her talk about pre-diabetes. I was all that. They didn't know what that was then, but I had lower leg neuropathy, which is like, ooh, my legs stopped working. They just stopped because it's a lower leg neuropathy. And what was scaring me because it said related to Parkinson's. My son's other dad has Parkinson's, and I would keep track of that. As it is today, I'm getting ready to swap out my G7 sensors that you put in, to do your glucose. She was talking about your A1C.
Mm-hmm.
Those they give you. It's a continuous glucose monitor. I wear those. You put them up underneath your non-dominant arm, just where you don't rub them off. I wear all those. But and talk about your A1C and all that. I have to keep up with all that. Being a type 2 diabetic makes you a micromanager. You got to keep. Stuff that people do automatically. You got to watch out for that. Like for fruit, I can't eat a lot of fruit because fruit drive my A1C up. And if you work out, like today's my workout class. I got to watch that because I'll drive myself low.
Mm-hmm.
You have to maintain, like me. I have to maintain between 90 and 130.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, my alarm will start going off when I go into the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
And I keep some peppermints, or I keep something in there. You pop those up in there like that, juice, oranges, and things like that. And also, you were talking about morbidly obese.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Carolyn Carter. Carolyn Carter used to be the director of the African American Women's Center.
Mm-hmm.
She was morbidly obese, and she knew she had to change. She started the raw food movement. Mm-hmm. She ate food that was not cooked. And she went from being morbidly obese. She dropped it, and she ended up with a show on PBS. She and her daughter Carolyn Carter, she and her daughter started a show, and they talked about rural food. They started like a food delivery and catering business. I saw it at African World Festival a couple of times. I mean, not Juneteenth Day a couple of times back. And what she did is that she and her daughter, they took their show from PBS, and she started delivering food packages to people. And she started her own raw food movement. I mean, you know, some people are vegans and some people are vegetarians. Her thing was that you do food that has not been processed or cooked. But she's just like Dick Gregory and some other people. She's walking proof. You can see that her raw food movement works.
But you know, it's interesting, Kev, when you mentioned Dick Gregory. I don't know if you've seen the documentary Showtime did on Dick Gregory, but it was interviewing his son.
Mm-hmm.
His son talks about how all that fasting that he did and his diet really had very negative effects on his health later in life.
Mm.
Now, if people remember Dick Gregory when he was a comedian,
Yes.
he was big, he was a smoker. And the crazy thing about Dick Gregory was that he went to Southern Illinois University on a track scholarship. He was like a great runner. And he gained the weight. He quit. You know, I don't know what happened, which made him decide, I'm gonna quit smoking. I'm gonna eat differently. But his son said all that fasting he did just took a toll on his body. Right? We don't think about it. I'm sorry.
That is the thing you took. No, yeah, because I was thinking about that because Gerald Levert, and also the overweight lover, Heavy D. And Luther was known for yo-yo dieting. He would go up, down, up, down. That's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Stay up or stay down. But if you do that, it throws your body out of whack.
And your body goes into something called starvation mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. I think the balance piece is really important. Brenda talks about it all the time. And even though that ratio is different, there still has to be this idea of what you're taking in, how much you're taking in, right? And even sometimes, I guess, even when you're taking it in, when you're eating, all those things make a real big difference. But it does kind of get down to a lot of things that we deal with is based on our lifestyle more so than some genetic predisposition or some hereditary thing. It is just how we've been living our lives.
Mm-hmm. I want to congratulate you because you sound like you have your diabetes under control.
I will tell you, I was in the news because a while back I walked from Milwaukee to Indiana. I said I was going to walk to Chicago, but what I did, Chicago, I looked at the map and Chicago was only like 20 miles from the border of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept on going, you know.
Sound like Forrest Gump. You just started running.
Somebody said that, you know, yeah. But what it is though is that walking is the simplest exercise because anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. All you need is a good pair of shoes, you know, sturdy, support your ankle and stuff. So what I do is that I've got my road food. I take bananas and oranges, things like that, you know, and also they're biodegradable. Just chuck them to the side of the road, you know. You can do that, you know. My daily regimen when I walk, I can walk 30 miles a day easily. That's nothing, you know. And what I told the doctors I was going to do, I was going to walk 2 miles a day. And when I lived in my freighter, I had 4 sets of doctors. Mm-hmm. And what I would do, I told them I would try to walk 2 miles a day, and I would walk to Freighter Hospital and back and stuff. But no, but it, in fact, I broke 2 kilometers walking. That's how serious I was, you know. But no, walking is good. Anybody can do it. I started walking clubs and stuff. Just walk around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting doing the George Floyd protest. Those folks did a lot of walking.
They did a lot of walking.
Man, I'm talking distance walking. And that's why it was so many young people, because it was just.
I joined one of the protests. I heard that they were going to walk from Claiborne Benson's place. They're going to walk down Fun Lake all the way downtown. I went up there to join in the thing because I heard they were going to walk. So I walked all the way down to I walked. They walked down to. He walked to the lakefront. Then he walked all the way to the lakefront up, and they had like a picnic. They had it catered and stuff.
Oh,
and
they
when I
had
was
a
walking down the
walk from
street,
the lakefront to Wauwatosa.
yes,
That's a pretty good
It's a
hump.
hike.
I know.
And,
Yeah, I
and
know.
it's funny
and so
you say
all
hike.
this walking going on.
Kevin, you remember the hunger hike? Those folks
The
back in the
hunger-
day, the hunger hike is kind of what's based on now, where you see United Negro College Fund walk, where people would they pledge you by an amount of money per mile, and the hunger hike was literally 30 miles. It was like a marathon basically, and you walked all through. Man, we started off at the courthouse, went to the east side. There was parts I had never seen Seaford School before. I'd heard about it, never seen. We walked through that area. We get through West Milwaukee. We walked through Wauwatosa, and then you turn around and come back. It was 30 miles. I was 13. I was in bed for a day.
Yeah, no, because say what happens that when I was with the ski club, what we did is that after the UNCF fun run, we had a party at night. And what happened was that we tried calling people, and everybody was asleep. we were all trying to, because we had our own. Right? Well, 5K is 3 miles.
3 miles, right?
I was running 8K. 8K is 5 miles. And what happened was that that we had a ski club. So, because I like being active year round, in the summertime you run, in the fall you do cross, in the summertime you run and walk. What they do, the long runs, they hold them early in the spring or late in the fall, because otherwise the heat will knock you out. Like now, this heat is atrocious. You can't run in something like this.
Oh, 1995, when they did Storm the Bastille, they did it at midnight.
Oh,
and it was still 90 degrees. I'll never.
Yeah,
oh man, I'll never forget
it was
that.
too
95, July 95. It was so hot. It was so hot. My wife and I moved into the Astor Hotel because we didn't have air conditioning, and we would have died. That's how hot it was.
Yeah. So it was
like,
beastly.
wow.
In fact, they're trying to rewrite the FEMA rules to put heat on the disaster thing, so that they can do something, because more people die from heat-related causes than die from hurricanes or tornadoes and all that stuff.
And we're gonna right now we're in this heat dome, so it's hot everywhere. There is no, and I don't know if you've ever been in New York in the summertime when it's hot. It is, because there is no air circulation.
And not like that, there's concrete, all that concrete.
Right,
They talk about heat islands, Yeah, another thing is to talk about Men's History Month. Like I said, but the Middle Passage, the death rate on those slave ships was 50%. 50% that survived could do things with salt, and their kidneys could process things better. So they were the ones that came out of the hold of the slave ships. But now that we're here now. We have kidney. We have a lot of kidney disease, high blood pressure. I have what they call aggressive glaucoma, that's high eye pressure. So I guess one of my forces as doctors are ophthalmologists and stuff, because I have to take all these pills and things. But what it is though is that the black men, North American black men, are 7 times more likely to have glaucoma. 7 times. And so and then they say, like, when they tell us that you got to get checked at age 50, whatever, you got to do it a decade earlier. Instead of going to get checked in your 50s, get checked in your 40s. Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks a lot. Thank you. I will.
All right, Brenda, you still there? Hello.
I am here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yeah,
I'm here.
I'm trying not to.
I'm listening. I think you should just have him on the show.
I know.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, all right. So again, you all will be doing breast examinations tomorrow at
Clinical
Juneteenth.
breast examination, Bonnie, and Nurses Affecting Change. Ascension would be there giving out and screening and talking to people about skin cancer and giving out sunblock. Brenda, what else y'all doing? Blood pressures.
I think we'll be talking about really any of our programs. If you want to get more information on that, sign up for any of those, like our Under 8 program for diabetes, our Blanket of Love for pregnant women. All of those programs that we do, you'll be able to sign up if you're interested in those, and then we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, and pregnant women, dehydration is the number one reason for preterm labor. So pregnant women, make sure you're drinking enough water.
So, Be Healthy, Be You, Miss Julia Means, Miss Brenda Buchanan. Boy, Brenda, we're probably not even going to recognize you because it's been so long since you've been here.
Yeah, I know. It has been like a month, right?
Yeah, literally, man. Boy, and it becomes part of your DNA, doesn't it? Like you said, I should be doing something. It's Tuesday at 9:00, right?
Oh, well, yeah, and that's why I watched out there. But I'll tell you, I came back, 2 weeks off is a lot, So I was ready to go back to work. I mean, I've lived in, no makeup, just chilling out, going to the beach, just doing really very little out there. And then I come back and it's like, okay, now I blame my Uber driver for making me sick, and now I can't go to work. Now I still got to stay at home.
Which Uber driver? The one to the airport or what?
No, the one that picked me up from the airport, and he was sick. And then as we're riding, of course, Nurse Brenda, I'm asking him questions. Oh, this is my first day back. I've been off for 4 days. I was running a high fever and, all of this and that. And I said, well, did you have COVID? No, I checked myself. I'm like, well, did you check more than once? He said, no. I said, well, he said, I just had a cold. I said, no, colds don't do that. I said, either flu or COVID, one of the two.
She said, colds don't do that.
Yeah, right. And then 3 days later, I'm telling Julia, man, I'm tired. Yep.
Jet lag.
So,
I said, you jet lag.
I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go. That's what I figured it was jet lag. But look, I'm going to go back and get my money back from Uber.
We, and we haven't been talking as much about the vaccinations for COVID. Is this the time of year, or should we be waiting till the fall?
I mean, if you've not had any at all, or you're behind, certainly go and, get them, talk to your doctor. Or you can, go to like the different places, Walgreens and stuff like that. But from everything I'm looking at, it looks like there'll probably be something in the fall coming out, because the strains that are circulating now have increased pretty much in the majority of the United States. Like I read, like 30 states are seeing an increase. They're not, most people aren't life-threatening, but of course, if you have underlying medical issues, then of course that puts you at greater risk for, other complications. But, but it is freely moving around Milwaukee right now, without a doubt. I can tell you 10 people I could name off right now that I know that have had COVID within the last month. Okay. We tend not to think about that in the summer. We
get
tend
ready
to think
go down to
cold weather.
Juneteenth tomorrow. Thank you very much.
We will be giving out masks.
You're giving out masks tomorrow.
Right.
Be Healthy, Be You, Miss Julia Means, Miss Brenda Buchanan of Ascension, Wisconsin. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
I'm just going to go. Let me thank everyone for listening today. Let me thank Debo. Let me thank Michelle. Let me thank Harvey, Brenda, Julia, everybody. Thank you, callers. We appreciate you. The good Lord willing, Creek Don't Rise. Hope to see y'all tomorrow at Juneteenth Day. And as always, go from this place in peace.
Hey, have you heard the amazing news from Boost Mobile? When you switch to Boost, you get 4 lines for $100.